I'm a multitasker and I know how to compartmentalize. I'm very fearless when it comes to trying new things. I'm very adventurous as well. So even though I've never done it before, I know in my spirit that if you know business, you know how to make money. Entrepreneurship taught me my first lesson about having family as part of your business. It doesn't matter how many businesses you open. When this fail, go into another one. When this fail, go into another. It's no shame, because this is where you learn all the experiences on becoming a solid entrepreneur. You have to first of all believe in what you're doing in yourself before anything else, or before anybody believes in you. The most challenging moment in entrepreneurship is when you have to deal with people, getting them to, one, understand and respect your systems, adhering to your processes, and also running the business as if it's their own. I've always told people that there's never a shame to start over. If today my business break down and fold up, I'll do this again. I'll go back and start again. For me, it's about how many people remember me and the part I played in their lives.
This is the JAB Show, and it's your life by design.
Welcome to the JAB podcast, Your Life by Design. I'm your host, Joe Abass Bangura. If you're watching this for the first time, this show exists for one reason: to give African entrepreneurs the tools, the framework, and the real world proof they need to scale their businesses. It's not theory, practical, tested strategy that works right here in our context, in our market, and in our reality. My guest today is somebody I've followed from a distance. I haven't sat down with her, in a shot like this until today. And there's a reason I wanted her on the show, because it's not because her business is perfect. It's because her journey is real. It's been messy. It's been hard. And in that mess, she found something a lot of entrepreneurs never got to find. That is, to find a way through. Fatima Sesay is an entrepreneur who's been building businesses right here in Freetown, and today we're going to be walking through a story, not just the wins, but also the walls she has had to hit, the constraints she had to bust through, and the lessons that came out of it. Fatima, welcome to the JAB podcast.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bangura.
It's a pleasure having you here. And actually, if you're talking across in the country, you're talking about female entrepreneurs. I'm sure one of the names that really bumps into people's mind is Fatima. One of the first questions I asked you, where did this come from? And you finally said, you're Temine. And so, from that origin, you're born to think like that way, and to haggle, you have a business mindset. But let's go back to the beginning. How did you get to think like an entrepreneur? How did this entrepreneurial journey start for you?
Well, it's kind of funny if I'm going to give you an answer to that, because I think the basis for all of this is my love for money.
Your love for money, women and money. What is it about women and money?
So it's my love for money and my hatred to be a bother to men, and short fuse as well. That when I want something, I have to ask another person, and then I get the runaround. So very early on, I realized that I need to be in control of my financial status. And by doing so, I have to be able to make money on my own. So I've started very early, back to the days of St. Joseph's Convent, where I've always been business-minded to make money. From buying things at PZ, to putting a margin on top, to selling it back to my friends, to selling excess socks my dad got me. It has always started from there. And then progressed to Fabe College. Back then, when I was in Fabe College, if you need to know fashion plug like us. If you want to look good, you want to look fashionable, you need to know people like us. Because I was selling clothes, shoes, accessories. I would go for holidays and come back with suitcases full of things, fine things. And it has always been so funny that people tend to wait for my arrival from vacation like I was some kind of a princess because they want to have first-hand access to the goods that I bring for selling. And that's the background of where my entrepreneurial journey started.
And that never got in the way of your academic studies?
No. So one of my strengths is to know how to, I'm a multitasker and I know how to compartmentalize. So, and that is what has carried me through where I do multiple things, which is basically one of a very good trait when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you need to be able to wear a lot of hats when you're a startup. So yes, it never got in the way of my studies. I've always maintained good grades, and I came out of the university with good grades as well, and progressed to having my first job as a business development executive in a logistics company, and that's where my proper entrepreneurial journey started as well.
So explain that, because if you're a business development person, you're working for a company, how would that trigger your own personal journey?
So when I was a business development executive for this company, one of my role was to source and look for business leads, new businesses, and bring them to the company. So it has always been at the back of my mind that if I have this ability to go out and source business for these people, I can do it for myself. And back at the office, I was working at the Access Bank building, which has like 5 floors. And Access Bank was, of course, the controlling company there. And on the 5th floor, there was a canteen one that serviced the whole building. So I went to work one morning and met information that the canteen lady has given up the canteen. Automatically, I spot the opportunity, and then I wanted to run the canteen for myself. But
and this is something you've never done before?
I've never done it before. So that's the other thing. I'm very fearless when it comes to trying new things. I'm very adventurous as well. So even though I have never done it before, I know in my spirit that if you know business, you know how to make money. So I asked a colleague of mine to go and introduce me to the MD so that I can have access to ask for it. She was very afraid because, he's a very strict individual. You can't just walk into that office and do things like that. I said, okay, thank you. And I took the bold step, walk into that man's office, stand in front of him and ask him that I want to run the Access Bank canteen.
And what did he say?
And then he looked at me for a long time, like maybe processing that she has guts and she has audacity. And I think it's because of that audacity that made him just look at me and say, go and take it. Mind you, when I was putting that request in, I do not have a cent to my name. I was just confident that there's a saying, anyway, now way. So eventually, yes, he gave me the go-ahead, went back up and started strategizing on how do I raise funds to do this. So we called my dad, loan $1 million leos, 1 million leos. At that time, that was in 2012. And then asked for, I think, an salary advance. Took it straight.
Did you tell the company what you
were
going to?
No, I did not tell them.
It's a personal.
In fact, I think they were really surprised out of the blue. They just saw me. I was now the owner of the canteen.
You're working for them and you're managing the canteen.
Exactly. I was working for them in one place, and then just across our office, I was running the canteen. Yes. So that's how I become a proper business owner. Then lunchtime, go to PZ, buy everything. And then I think by the end of the day, I had like a team of 5 people working for me. So that was my first time to become a job creator. And we did that, we ran that for a year, and I started adding valuable service. Now, if you're an individual who works for organization, you know, after the 15th of every month, it's a tussle to make sure the month end with you not being out of funds. So I saw a gap where people need a bumper or a buffer to take them through the rest of the month. And I added Gary by dozen, sugar by cup, eggs by dozen. I will package them and then give it on credit to staff, and then they pay me at the end of the month. The business was so good that it started spreading from Access Bank. I had plugs in Sierra Leone Commercial Bank and Rokel Commercial Bank. And it was going for a while until I started having issues with my team, well, the head of my team, which was my cousin. And that was where entrepreneurship taught me my first lesson about having family as part of your business. Because a lot of lines tend to be crossed and boundaries not being respected. So that's where I got my first lesson when it comes to working with family. And yeah,
and your lesson is keep the distance.
Yes, my lesson is have boundaries when it comes to bringing family in to your, or sit down and have a proper written contract and outline the details, because with family, lines tend to blur.
It works well with Indians, it works well with Lebanese, it works well for so what would be?
Well, I think for us we'll have to be maybe, we don't have that culture. Because for them, they have the culture of building family brands and all that. But I don't think it works in Sierra Leone. I'm not saying there's always exceptions to that rule. But for me, it didn't work out. And I've learned to abide by that situation, that lesson. And because of that, I've never been able to bring in close family members to my business.
And so you're actually saying this thing came up naturally. You grew into the entrepreneurial mindset in the journey naturally.
Yes, because I also grew up seeing my parents, even though when they have jobs, good paying jobs, they always have like a side hustle that was always like buffing the salary or the income that was coming into the home. So my dad always had like fantastic jobs, but that man always had something going on at the side, from mobile phones to him traveling and bringing stuff to sell. And the same thing with my mom, where she used to work for Barclays Bank. And when they closed up during the war, she turned to business, going Guinea and back, and then open a grocery store. So yes, I think also my influence in entrepreneurship, I got that from them. And then my parents has always been supportive when it comes to business, whatever you tend to do. Because, for example, when I was in college, I used to dress up people that are going for beauty pageants and everything. I was passionate about it. Beauty, fashion, that's my passion. So every day my dad comes from work, he will meet girls in that house practicing how to walk and everything. And then I was taking my stepmom's beauty products, clothes and shoes. So we are always clashing because I take things without permission. And then he had realized that she's passionate about it, she likes doing it and all that. But for what? For free. And he said to me one day, don't you think you should start charging these people for your services? And that's how I made money from pageantry. When you come to me, if I give you everything, we go on a percentage. When you win the competition, you have to give me my money. Yes, so
you say you have some very good relationship with money.
Yes, I've done a lot of things, and the basis for all is basically getting money. I've even been there was a point in time in my life I was a makeup artist, one of the few who even started it. I was had worked on Emerson's video, where I was paid for every night I appeared on that shoot to do his face up. So when I was seeing
you were doing Emerson's, or when you saw Pamela doing my face,
just cast my mind back, and I was paid for it. But you know, that was one of the reasons when I was in college, when we go to clubs and everything, I've never been dependent on who is going to buy me drinks when I go out, or who is going to give me money if I need to go out or buy things. I've always been able to provide
for yourself.
For myself, yes.
Interesting. And the interesting thing is, okay, if you look back at this picture, you could see that you started organically. You started with what you have. You did not have to have any, actually, even from Access Bank to now say, okay, you closed the deal, before you now even begin to look for the capital that you got from the loan.
So that's the thing with entrepreneurship. You have to first of all believe in what you're doing in yourself before anything else or before anybody believes in you. Because I believe in what I wanted to do and I know I can do it, I know raising the funds will definitely solve its own problems.
That's a powerful mindset. It's a powerful way to think of the entrepreneurship process. There's obviously a long argument that we now have. One of the people I host, the guest that I had in a previous episode, talked about you don't need funding, you need proof. Mm-hmm. You need proof to show that this works, and once you do that, it's easier to attract funding. So you should spend a lot more time proving that this thing works, building. Tell me your thoughts about that.
I do agree because it's what they always say. The proof is in the pudding.
It's in the pudding.
Okay. In as much as access to finance is hard when you're starting up, but when you have a bankable project, a tangible project, money will come. When I started Unimax, when I established Unimax in 2013, I started with only 15 million euros. Mm-hmm. And that, interestingly, I got from sales of selling 2 suitcases of fashion jewelries. And that's how I raised my first money, 15 million, and opened the account. And so at the beginning, nobody gave me money, but I started with the little that I have. And going on, I got my first couple of clients. I was still managing. At the point when I decided to go into freight forwarding, and the level at which I wanted to play was the corporate level. And for that to happen, you should be able to pre-finance shipments, mm-hmm. which of course I do not have. But because of how serious I was with the business, how I was proving to people that what I was doing actually works, even my word at that time was bankable. Because to do one container at the time, I had to borrow from 5 different people. Now, how does 5 different people see you, believe you, to give you funding for what you want to do? It's because
they should have seen. They've seen the results.
There is results, and what you're doing works.
And they've done it once, and you've paid back. They've done it. You've done it repeatedly, and you've always
Another
kept your word.
Lesson in my entrepreneurship journey that every business person or business leader should have is your word should be solid. And I've been able to operate within the Sierra Leonean business ecosystem because of my word. I've been able to get loans with no collateral to my name. I've been able to build my fleet with the help of Shalimar with nothing but my word.
Let's pull back. So let's go. You said one of your first business ventures was a taxi business that failed. Tell us about that.
So I've learned earlier on that. So before the canteen, I think we skipped that. In fact, it was a second-hand taxi that I bought, and that business never gave me in Korea what we call collateral. There was always one issue after the other. And I totally do agree when they say when you buy a taxi,
not for the driver.
It is for the driver, indeed. It is for the driver. The reason why they say that is because you're not in control of the revenue. Whereas what I'm doing now with the cargo bike, with the delivery service and transporting cargo back and forth is that drivers are not involved in receiving cash or even finding clients on my behalf. I find my clients, they contact us directly. All they need to do is show up. With a taxi, it's cash and carry. You enter the taxi, they give the money to the driver, and at the end of the day, he gives you what he feels you deserve. And
that's why with the Uber model, it works. The driver doesn't handle anything.
Exactly.
It's paid to the company. It's the company that books the rides on the app. Yes. So the driver is just notified that you have
Uber
an app.
And then goes to Uber, and then the finance is being shared. The driver receives what is his, and then Uber receives what is theirs.
That's the way that model works.
Yes,
but if they are looking out for the clients, they do their negotiations and receive the cash and expect them to come back at the end of the day.
So wherever direct cash is involved, then that's why it becomes a problem.
you moved from the field taxi business and then Unimax. Tell us about Unimax. How did Unimax come about? You said it was first a pitch competition.
Yeah, so while I was going in the canteen, so my dad has a background in journalism. So earlier on, we were taught to read. We read a lot. We read a lot and listen to news. Because my dad always tell us that he learned how to speak proper English by listening to BBC World Service. Said, me na Eastern boy. I learned for speak English na BBC, you know. So I was reading a newspaper one day and I saw this call for a business proposal, and it was organized by the British Social Action Project. The project was called Umubano. So they were in town and it was a call for business ideas. And during that time, when it comes to my work, I was responsible for, once we complete a client job to upload, scan the documents, the third-party receipts and everything, and forward with the invoices to that client. And if that client is not in town, of course you have to scan them and share with them. And during around 2000, and if you're in Sierra Leone in 2000, between 2010, 12, internet was really crappy in this country. Very slow, very difficult to upload documents. And aside of that, our road networks was really poor, you know, before the renovation and everything of what we do have now. So when you do send a messenger, it will take half of the day just to go and get things across. So, and then with my exposure with traveling and everything, I had encountered a company called DPD in the UK, where that's where I first saw the delivery service and getting things across very fast. So I said to myself, what if we do have this service here within the Sierra Leonean context? I know it was going to be difficult because Sierra Leone, you do not know anybody, you do not know someone, and then
how do you give
so the issue of trust was also a huge consideration. So that's why I've been able to build Unimax organically, because you know I brought a service to Sierra Leone that people do not know, and that has a major issue of trust and theft, and started building it organically. As you say, we go back to proof. People are using us, they're receiving their items. Over time, people started warming up to that idea. So that's why I always proudly say to people that I've been the guinea pig for delivery service.
You're the pioneer of delivery service.
And I am the pioneer of delivery service in Sierra Leone because of what I've been able to build. So other people have seen the opportunity and also venture into the space.
Unimax has gone into something today. So what's the fleet? Tell us.
Never envisioned
that would happen.
You know, so when I established Unimax, of course, go back to the business competition. I won the business competition.
You won the business competition. And you say all you got there was...
all I got was a trophy and a certificate. Because normally we were used to, when you win this competition, you have seed startup. But I think their validation was all I needed, really. So it didn't deter me to continue on.
And it was the Unimax idea that you pitched in this competition?
Yes, it was the Unimax idea at the British Council. However, it wasn't called Unimax.
What did you call it at that point?
It was called Freetown Courier Services, FCS. And then later on changed to, when I registered it, I changed it to Unimax.
Why did you use Unimax?
So Unimax is two things. It's the first three letters of my dad's name,
Unisa.
And then the max is maximum. So when I do things, I want everything to be grand and big. So that's where the maximum comes from. So you join, that's how.
You're a daddy's girl?
I am a daddy's girl. Yes, I have always been a daddy's girl. So,
you're a daddy's girl. So.
Yeah, and so built Unimax, established it and registered it. Then we started with 3 electric scooters. That was going off all over the place. You know, I think I was ahead of my time because now is when we're all talking now about
going green and
going stuff. Green, electric and everything, solar and all that. But it didn't work out, and then I proceeded to having. So this is where the organic building is. So I want to pay
organic.
Attention.
That's a very important point. It's organic building.
I started with electric scooters, and then changed over to second-hand
motorbikes.
Because somebody got tired of the Okada business and was selling part of their fleet And so it wasn't even cash upfront. It was a payment plan where they give me and I'm paying. Even my office, when I started, was on loan. I cannot afford to pay my office. It was a one room that I started, the rent. So they loaned me the room. My printer was loaned as well. So the whole business was on loan. So
you've never had to say, I have the money up front. Again, you're talking about your word, your bond, building trust. People get to know you. You show the proof, and it becomes so easy for you to move to the next level. So it's amazing.
Yes. So as I say, your word goes a long way. When people trust your word, you get a lot of things easy. And so for me, it has really helped me in growing my business. So I do know that it does work.
So second-hand motorbikes then?
So second-hand motorbikes, and then that was when I met Musa Shalima.
Okay.
And we had a session where we had a long conversation. I think in between that's where he saw what my character was.
Right.
I've never known him from anywhere before. And over time, he has become a very good mentor and support system for me. Mm-hmm. And that was how he started giving me bikes on loan. When I pay off, I take another one. When I pay off, I take another one. And that's how I was able to build my motorbike fleet.
And you say you currently have 25?
Yes.
And
right.
there's a clearing and forwarding bit. You have trucks and trucks and trailer and so.
So Unimax has evolved into a proper logistics business, where 60% of the business is now a clearing and forwarding agency, and 40% is delivery and haulage. So we are no longer a motorbike delivery company. We're now into trucking, where we have our own trucks, over 8 fleets of big Mercedes-Benz box trucks. We have semi-trailers to lift containers. And I was even experimenting with cargo bikes so basically for small items like TVs, fridge. If somebody go into an electrical shop to buy things like that, you can call us and then we pick up and take it to your house or wherever you're taking, whatever destination you are taking that to. So I was trying to address and meet every size and need of a client. Every size of cargo is what I have a fleet for. From the smallest one that fits into a bike to the largest one that fits in a container. We have a fleet to take it back and forth, pick up and drop off for you.
And you've literally had to build this. I know you have a team behind you, but as a leader, somebody leading the business, you've had to do this all by yourself. I
have had to do this all by myself, but also with a team of different people behind me. One is my everyday team. We started with 4 people, and now I have about 40 permanent staff, and with a circle of support. You know, when I started, I told you I have like people that kind of mentor me as well. So I have a couple of those who have been a support to me. I do have my village, my friends and family, who I vent to a lot, who basically they are also my sounding board.
Your sounding board.
You know, because the thing with building the business, there's a mental side of it as well that you have to address. If not, you go crazy. And I'm operating in an industry which is a male-dominated industry, and there's not a lot of women in the logistics industry, and they can testify that it's really hardball. So,
and that's what we're going to be talking about next after the break. That's what we're going to be talking about. You know, how hard it is when you are a female to stand out in an industry where, you know, that is male dominated, and what rigor and resilience you've had to fight to make sure you could build something that, you know, we're proud about. The other day I saw a post that was done, I think it was ADB. It was published AFDB.
Yes.
It was published somewhere. Let's close this first round with that. Tell us about that.
When Alfonso Marsh called me, and then he was like, I think this is very weird, but I saw EcoBank did a publication on you, not the Sierra Leone, but the global EcoBank. And your story really piqued my interest, and I'd like to know more. And then, of course, he introduced himself and everything, and then he said, I write for AFDB Bank. I'm like, what? He said, yes. He said, so can we have a conversation? So it was just like this, a conversation. And then I said, what are you going to do with the interview? And he said, I'm going to publish it towards the bank's annual meeting. And then that was it. It was really, I'm still excited when I
I can see that.
When I talk about it, because it also makes me realize that that is going to be like a global stage where anybody can see you. Anybody can be interested in your business and in your story. So I was very grateful for that platform.
It's a fighting world. You can never stop fighting. You lose all the battles you don't fight. It's a life you can shape. It's a life you can design. This is a JAB podcast. Don't go away as we take this commercial break.
This is the JAB Show, and it's your life by design.
Most business owners then just they guess waiting at the problem where them business get. Some can say, well, na marketing problem. But in staff then say, no, na the sales. Now we have a problem with. And the partner then at the business, na cash flow problem now then get. Everybody they guess, nobody know waiting they do the business. That is why we built one simple tool at the Startup Body Shop. You answer a few questions and the system analyzes your business and it shows you exactly what's the problem. Not vibes, not guessing, real business diagnostics. Because if you treat the wrong problem, you're just wasting your time, you're wasting money, and you're wasting energy. This tool shows you exactly what's blocking your business, what to fix first, and where to focus on if you want to see results. So stop guessing, diagnose your business today. Check the link in the description.
This is the JAB Show, and it's your life by design.
Welcome back. This is the JAB podcast, and we talk to entrepreneurs with real life story based on our context, African context, been building in circumstances that defies everything, demands every strength and every energy. And my guest today is Fatima Sesay. Fatima, one of the entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs in the country that we're all proud of. We ended up the first bit of this talking about a publication that was done on her story on the AFDB platform on the basis of a support she'd had from EcoBank. Was it his Elevate? Was it the Elevate product? Now let's talk about the gender dimension. How much of a challenge has the fact that you're female, posed to your entrepreneurial journey, and how have you had to fight through that?
I think I'm one of those people who have never concentrated on my gender when it comes to business. At all. Because even when I do, society has never given me that reason to say, but now because me na woman,
I make them you.
Because there was a nickname for me down at the port. They call me Mr. Fatima. Because I think eventually or subtly they recognize me that I was just a woman in body, but in spirit I do have male tendencies. So, and then even when situations happen, because I tend to also work with a lot of men, and our culture has not allowed us to look at women in leading positions. So sometimes it's not me, I do not struggle with it, but people that work for me or encounter me struggle with taking instructions from a woman or being led by a woman. But I think once you experience me, you tend to gather yourself and know that, okay, this is not the standard woman you're playing with. I always say, I don't know if I even should say it on air, is that I'm a woman with balls, So I have not wasted a lot of my time when I'm building this business to leverage on, they're not taking me serious because I'm a woman. Because I'm naturally very competitive. I'm a competitive person.
You said
so
you're assertive, you're competitive.
Yes, I'm assertive.
You're audacious.
So when it comes to things that I want, if a man and myself are going for it, I'm operating at your level. So I do not give you a chance to recognize that, oh, she's the weaker sex, so I have an edge over her. So situations do arise, but I do not pay cognizance to the fact that because I'm a woman, I should take a back
How did
seat.
you develop that mentality? At what point in time did you discover, that you had this way of thinking? Because not all women think that way.
I think it also goes back to my upbringing, thinking about it now, where, of course, it was myself and my siblings, where we have boys and girls and everything. And my dad has always operated in a way where it's a level playing field for everybody. I do not go up and say, oh, now woman work this, now woman for do this. I did not grow up in that environment. In fact, when I was young, I was the one who will open the video player, clean the video player. I used to do a lot of man stuff. And I also got that influence, I think, from my brother, who mostly, I think, wanted a male sibling. So even our interactions has been like two brothers growing up or playing and everything. So
how many of you in the family?
It's 8 of us.
Okay.
To my dad.
Okay.
And then 4 of us to my mom.
Mom, okay.
Yes. But I was very close with my brother. I lost him this year.
I'm sorry.
And it has been one of the tough things that I've been dealing with.
I'm sorry.
But my dad encourages, my dad creates a platform to allow you be. He has never controlled us or controlled the way we think, the way we want to do things. He has always been just supportive. Do you, or do what do the design you see your life, or life by design, and I will support you whatever way. So he has allowed us to go into ourselves, being very assertive, and in fact, it's not only me. The women in our family are really strong and tough. So in a joking way, he usually say he feels sorry for the partners for our partners, because we have very strong personality. I think so. That's my background.
And we were joking earlier that there's a positive side to this, there's a negative side to this, because it means you can hold your own in the presence of men, but it could also make you intimidating, and men would even think 16 times before they come.
Yes. But I'm basically a nice person just until you cross me. Period. So I'm not. Like, I don't go out and just being rah. It's when you come for me, then
Fatima, you're a very strong woman. Now let's drill down to the angle where lowest points. The entrepreneurship journey is tough. And obviously you said, including that you lost your brother and the stuff you've been going through the family. There are other areas. When is the most tough? What's the toughest moment in an entrepreneur's journey that you've had to battle with? Tell when are those moments?
So the most challenging moment in entrepreneurship is when you have to deal with people, your team.
Explain.
In getting them to, one, understand and respect your systems, adhering to your processes, and also delivering KPIs. People's management in general is difficult when it comes to business. And for an SME, because with large corporations, you have a whole department that functions with just dealing with people. So it allows all the other factors to concentrate on their core responsibilities. Whereas with SMEs, we do not have that capacity to just cater to the human capital.
You don't have an HR department.
I don't have an HR department.
You are the HR department yourself.
I am the HR department, and maybe somebody will help here and there. So just dealing with them and also focusing on our core deliverables is hard, especially when you're working in this terrain, you're working in this environment where now to find that team that that recognize your vision, that the issue with your team is basically the ownership mentality. I mean, running the business as if it's their own. They don't have an ownership mentality, so they tend to drop the ball when it does not fit their cup of tea. That's not my own problem, and in business, and so that mentality alone do not allow you to depend on them. So you're constantly always on the edge or on the go to pick up all the little slacks and the gaps. So that is challenging. And then for the business environment, I think since I've been an entrepreneur, I think 2025 and 2026 has really tested my resilience to a point that I almost want to give up. And I've been an advocate for a long time.
For people not giving up.
For business people that are struggling, to be their biggest cheerleader, to say, this is how entrepreneurship is. It gets better. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. But I haven't seen my light this year. It has been tough. I mean, for the last 2 months, I got my entire clearing and forwarding team walked out. And I wasn't prepared. And I had to go back to the drawing board. So, and this is where the grit with entrepreneurship is. Because for some people, when you destabilize them, they pack up and they fold up. For me, I have the spirit of the spider. I go back. I've always tell people that there's never a shame to start over. If today my business break down and fold up, I'll do this again. I'll go back and start again.
And that's obviously it's a tough one. But I want to just break up a couple of things, even as we're looking towards the final lap. We're going through the final lap. I want to break down a couple of stuff. It's a tough, obviously. I know what you're talking about because I've had sleep. My wife knows, my family, my entire family knows. I've cried a lot this year. This first quarter of 2026, I've really. And it's allowable to cry, right? You're allowed to cry.
Oh yes, you're allowed to. In fact, you should be able to cry because it's a relief, as well. For me, when I cry on my pillow, I get up the next morning and live to fight another day.
It's business, so why not just abandon everything and stop crying? Why the headache? It's somebody would ask, why is the headache?
What I normally ask myself is that you're young, you're beautiful. Who sent call you? Because all I have to do is maybe find a man that can afford my lifestyle, sit down, fold my hand, become a nice housewife, and they give me allowance and call it a day. Who that sent call me?
Why wouldn't you do that?
Because it's not me. I'm way ambitious than that, and I want my legacy to outlive me. I do have this biggest thing where if I die today, I want people to remember Fatima and what I've built and what I've created and how I've impacted humanity. So it's kind of bigger than me. It's bigger than even the business. For me, it's about how many people remember me and the part I played in their lives.
And there's a couple of stuff that you already shared. If we're talking about in terms of numbers, where you're now going, you're doing some stuff, you're doing deliveries for City Council, where you say you did 102,000 in 35 days in terms of deliveries that you do. 102,000 deliveries to be done in 35 days with 100 staff. And from the Unimax point of view, you have two kinds of your fleet is divided into two. You have on-location fleet, which is fleet that is
you
outsource. They are the client's premises.
Yes.
So businesses would come to you and say, give me two dispatch, and those guys are on your payroll. Explain that.
So what we do is, as long as you're a business, be it a restaurant, a corporate company, an online business. As long as you have the need to get things across from one point to another, you need Unimax. Now the world is moving to a point where people tend to outsource services so that they reduce the pressure and the stress on them doing everything at one go. So you can outsource your delivery, outsource your dispatch, or even outsource your transportation to us, and we will service that department where, let's say if you're in the distribution business, let's say you're a beverage distributor, we have trucks that will take your drinks from one point and distribute on your behalf to your client. If you're an online business, you do not have a delivery bike or how to reach your client. You don't have to buy. So this is the thing. People don't need. You don't need to buy your own equipment or buy your own bikes to service your business. You can come to us. We have a sit down. We look at the cost. We are very affordable, by the way. I want to correct that.
And that's what you said. You said people
tend
think
to see
that
my brand and think they cannot afford me, or they don't have the capability to afford me. Surprisingly, I'm mostly competitive with all the other delivery services in town. So you can call us. We sit down. We have different solutions. You can pay us on a monthly basis. You can pay us as and when you use the service, and then you don't even need shop. So in fact, we are even cutting your cost of renting a shop, paying for a shop in dollars.
So you can be at home, you can deliver
exactly.
at
you can
home, from
stock
home.
your products at your house and be selling online. When somebody buy your product, just call us. We come and pick it up and then deliver to your client and collect your cash and bring it back to you. Or you utilize the various mobile money solutions like AfriCell, prepaid card, or you use Orange Money or whatever service, or POS or whatever, and then you receive your cash directly. So it does not even go into the hands of somebody else. So they pay you first. So, and the thing is, our service, even if you're selling at Abacha Street and your client is at home, does not want to come to PZ, the traffic and all that, they can pay you through mobile money. You still call us, we pick up, and then we deliver to your client, and you still receive your money. And we do this for small items, as small as anything. We do this for even bigger items. So let's say somebody is buying 100 cartons of products from you. We do have the solution for that. We have trucks that will go load and then deliver to your customers. And we do not only operate in Freetown, we operate all through Sierra Leone. We even go to Guinea, Liberia, and all the other provinces in Sierra Leone. So we are not focused we are not only focused in Freetown. So you can have a shop in, let's say, Bo, and you're buying your stock from Freetown. We can take it from Freetown and deliver to your shop in Bo.
That's amazing. So let's talk again about numbers. Again, like I said, numbers in terms of where you're going. You've just talked about the clients that you service. You're looking to grow at this point in time. And one of the things, you all know part of my other life is what I did with Startup Body Shop. Startup Body Shop now has a managing director. I was appointed the managing director for Sierra. That's where I'm moving to. That's where my head is at. But we were talking about constraints because the next season of your life is about growth. And obviously, I know even what you shared now in terms of the teething problem and what you've been fighting through is something that's part of the life, and you're going to be able to overcome that. And what we would share, we started talking about constraints. That at any point in time with businesses, there's this theory of constraints that says there are a few things that will hold back the growth of the business, and not 15 things, about few things. And sometimes, one of them would be the most, the biggest constraints that you would have. And that the way to unlock the business is to find that one constraint, spend a 90-day plan that you would walk through to unlock the business. So one of our partners, Startup Body Shop, has a diagnostic tool that is on their line, and the link is below. So take the diagnostic tool. It runs through the constraints, and it shows you, because two of the constraints we identified that for this next season of your life is you need to have a business partner. obviously you need to grow, you need to drive investment, you need to have more people investing in this, and so with the AFDB and interest being established, you have to, again, you've been used to showing proof, and so it's the proof that you sell.
Yes.
To new partners and investors.
Your
proof yourself.
It has been selling.
Yeah, so let's go now to two constraints, maybe two or three constraints we identified.
Okay.
One constraint was the was a marketing constraint, because people don't know enough that you exist.
Yes.
One of the reasons I was asking you to go into details in terms of what you do, even at this stage now, how do people contact you? Unimax, are you online, and
Yes.
what social media platforms?
So we have, of course, we do have digital footprint. We are on all the social media platforms. We're on Facebook as Unimax SL Limited. We are on TikTok as Unimax SL. And we are on Instagram as Unimax SL Limited. So we usually do update our services and then, of course, create content and all that. And then we have our phone numbers, 099-608-444 as well. And we're located at 48 Wellington Street, Freetown, Sierra Leone.
So people can reach you there. So, because one of the stuff, again, we can go deeper offline. I've been telling you. So the five levers. There are 5 levers that drives growth. Growth of a company at the basic level. One of them is ICP, or identity. Your ideal client profile. Who do you sell to? You can't be selling to everybody. You have to be able to narrow down on who are the people that I find it very easy to deal with. I make a very decent margins, and they give me less headache, but I am able to deal. I'm able to service them the best. There's something that is common, so you have to be able to. You can't sell to everybody. So narrowing down what's one, ICP. Number 2, what do you offer? And when you're talking about your offer, it's talking about the product, the price. Is it competitive? But also the promise. What promise does your product deliver? Does it deliver collateral? What is it? You must have a promise, and you have to have a guarantee. If your promise fails to meet this target, what guarantee do you give your clients? And so, for example, I'll tell you, Startup Body Shop. One of the things, in the product, there's a 90-day program that in 90 days says, these are the numbers will change. You have KPIs. If we work with you for 90 days, this is what will change. If it doesn't change, we will work with you until this result is achieved. That's a guarantee. Yeah. And so you have to have an offer, and that has a guarantee. And the third would be, how do people know you exist? Where do they find you? Lead generation. Are you online? That's why I was asking you now to say, okay, where do people find you? I'm on Instagram, I'm on this is my address. So people can find you in all of those places.
Yes.
Because if you know who you're selling to, you know what you're selling in terms of the offer, they have to know where to find you. And so one of the constraints we discovered was, you need to scale up. To scale up now, you need to now a dedicated lead generation process, a marketing engine that you need to walk through. And then after that, it would be, how do you close your sale? And when somebody raises their hands up and say, I'm interested, you have to have a sales system. The final one is operations, which is why I want to close with. Because there are 2 things you said we needed to deal with. Apart from the fact that you were looking for a partner, you're looking for somebody. Can you describe in 15, 20 seconds, who is this kind of person? Because to grow, you need people by your side. You need people who you would invest together in this business, not just put money, but their presence. I was sharing to you an example where you have, organization that started very small, but has grown humongously. The only way you do it is to have people running this business that would have the same, will sleep and wake the business for yourself, equity partner, people who invest their time and their money into the business, so that it's not just you alone sleeping and waking up the burden of the business. So who are you looking for? Who do you think you'll be looking for? I've already given you some assignments. Run some stuff that you have a checklist. Every event you go now, you should be looking for chemistry.
Yes.
Who value system, the chemistry value system and stuff.
So I think, so my attention has never been to
that direction.
In that direction. However, based on our conversations today, it's been very insightful to see that yes, I do need that.
Totally.
But if I'm looking for that person, as you said, there has to be chemistry, and it has to be organic, and it has to be genuine, because we've had partnerships in Sierra Leone that started nicely and now ending.
Yeah, it's always
terrible,
it goes bad. Yeah, goes bad.
And which basically means that even if you're looking for that opportunity, you have to first of all cover your back, and it should be embedded in the fine print of what your agreement.
Every document, so there's governance. If you're doing this,
going to be like. And for me, my interest will be looking at somebody who is a kind of also not only a dormant partner, but more focused on the governance part of the business than the everyday operations part of the business. So, of course, I do know that with the vision of where I want Unimax to go, I will not be able to do it all forever or in the long run. I need to structure my business to a point where we get to where they no longer need me. I'll be lying somewhere, living soft.
I want to lie somewhere.
Soft girl life.
Soft girl life.
And then I know I have built a business that is
can run all by itself.
Yes, can run all by itself, and they just need me as and when. I pray for the day they just need me to come for maybe a board meeting or shareholder meeting.
And it's possible. It's possible. That's why I said it's the season of your life where you have to build those foundations. You have to now have partners, people who would share your vision, share your value system, and could take responsibility by bringing also something on board. But anyway, like I said, I provide you some details that should guide that process. And the last thing I want to talk about was this around, in the journey to that, the business had to need less and less of you.
Yes.
How you need to build systems and processes that are documented, that are written, that everybody knows this is how we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If somebody calls, they want this is what you should do. It should be written. If something comes up that is not there, you tell them what to do, you give them the directive, but document it and add it to the SOPs, standard operating procedures.
Yeah. So for me, I think my goal is in the next 10 years, my business should not need me. And as you've rightly said, now is the time to start putting those structures and those systems in place where I will be able to say when I'm 50, I'll be able to just take a step back and have other people run the business for me.
And I can assure you, at 50, you'll start something else. Because we haven't even talked about Golden Rooster. You see Golden Rooster?
Yeah, so Golden Rooster is actually my, I don't know the business number, what is that? Because I do own a bread baking
You said,
business.
you have a bakery.
I used to own a pharmacy called Get Well Pharmacy. That's closed, and that's why I said what I said about it doesn't matter how many businesses you opened. When this fail, go into another one. When this fail, go into another. It's no shame, because this is where you learn all the experiences on becoming a solid entrepreneur. Because the mistakes you make here, you correct those lessons into the next business. So, and earlier this year, I opened Golden Rooster restaurant. It's a fast food restaurant.
I'm still challenging you on whether you needed to have opened this.
I'm still challenging myself if I needed to open
we would
this.
fight
But
that
it's
fight.
just that I just can't sit still when it comes to business. In me, spotting. In fact, I think if I am going after every single idea that I have, I think I'll have more than 10, 20 businesses right now.
And that's something you have to fight, because it's the same to yes. You have to fight. And
what I started doing now is basically when I think about something, if I have a friend, I said, listen, do you know this will? And I don't know if it's a strength or a weakness, is wherever I find myself, in every environment, my gift is to spot opportunity.
So have a book, you write all the opportunities. Some opportunities, after you look at for 2 months, you said, no, this is not for me.
Oh, yes.
This is, so write them down. Don't even share.
Let me share something funny with you. I do have a store full of cutleries, plates, cups that I just bought out of the whim of I want to start a proper rental business, because I hate when I visit people or go to events. Your cutlery. You can't be doing everything. And I have never been able to even run the business. And I'm trying to sell them, Because I later on looked back and say, oh,
The best way to go in life is to
know?
double down on what you know works. Double down, go deeper, build people.
Yes.
You know, it's easier to enlarge Unimax, to grow Unimax,
yes.
expand it, than
Yes.
to start
Than
something
starting
fresh.
something else,
So we're
yes.
going to fight on the golden rooster. But now let's close. There's a young girl looking at you now. They're watching it. They're watching you. They're inspired by you. You've told me about people walking up to you, and you're so inspired. You do some stuff with IPAM where you mentor, you coach, and people walk up to you and said, "You said something a couple of years ago.
Yes,
I'm now running my business, and you
yes.
inspired me." Somebody's watching you.
Yeah.
It's a tough life. It's not an easy life. They've had you talked about how many nights you've cried. And not to man plaba, you cry pan. Not to man plaba, you cry pan. You cry pan business. And it's tough. And I normally say it's my business and my first boy picking. Because nothing gives me headache. Nothing gives me headache in my family like having to have a business to run. I think that's the
same thing. Because my stress as a young woman and the stress of other young women my age, it's completely different.
It's a different
thing. So sometimes I'm like, why am I bringing this?
Yeah. But so talk to them. Talk to the young girls. What strength, what resilience, and speak to them. Is this for special people?
Yes,
I don't know.
I'm looking at you now and saying to you that nothing is impossible. Because I think a few years ago I was sitting where you're sitting and seeing all these other people building businesses, building brands, and you think it's magic or how do I do it? Just start with one day at a time. You do not need to have everything in place to start a business. If you believe you have a good idea, even if all the other factors are not there, just start and everything will fall in place. I've said this a lot to people that there's never a right moment to start. And ideas does not last long because every day there are thousands of people thinking about the same thing you're thinking about. But it's only those who act on it that will realize the dream. And when you start, even if you fail, there is no shame. Do not pay attention to people saying, oh, every day they change business, every day it is not their call. If I had listened to the voice of the market, I would not be where I am today. Me sitting here, they called me that I was false, I get false life, me old 25-hour open business. And 13 years down the line, I've been able to create employment for over 1,000 youths in Sierra Leone. So if I had listened to what people were saying to me, I will not be here. So get up right now, go fair and elect at 20,000 euros, start, and then you'll thank me a few years after. And don't forget, if you ever see me around, come up and just have a chat if you're going through anything that you think you need somebody else's opinion on.
Fatima, thank you so much for the time you spent with us today. Thank you for what you have shared. Thank you for the inspiration and the frameworks and the tools and the resilience. We would definitely, take to heart what you've shared. And offline, like I promised, we would, we'll continue to work on the stuff we've talked about. Like I said, don't forget, at any point in time, no matter where you are in a business, there are few constraints that are holding back the growth of the business. And so a sponsor for the JB podcast, one of our sponsors, Startup Body Shop, has this diagnostic tool. And the link is in the bio that you're watching now. The link is there. Go there, click the link, take the diagnostics of your business. You feed it the details because, Startup Body Shop is able to help you run the diagnostics, give you a 90-day plan of what the next thing you need to do to fix to unlock your business. Like I've been sharing with Fatima, there are things, if she focuses on them on the next 90 days, there's no way she cannot progress those things. But identify the right thing to solve and then begin to fix it is what progress is your business. On behalf of our sponsors, we want to encourage and emphasize the fact that, this is a life we can shape and this is a life we can design. And then thank you so much to Afisel, Afimoni, RC Bank, and Sierra Tel, and the Startup Body Shop. Keep fighting, keep pushing, and create the life you desire. Again, I emphasize it's a life you can shape. It's a life you can design. God bless.
This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design.